Daniel A. Miller, but you said I can call you Danny, so I appreciate that. That sounds a little less formal. But we would like to ask our first question, which is, who are you and why do we care?
I'm a tennis player slash author slash painter slash real estate investor. That's sort of been my life journey for 80 years. But I now like to think of myself definitely as a tennis player, but as a writer that's trying to be a service and give back. My life has been blessed by so many ways in so many matters. And my books, they're not my business. If I break even, I'm doing pretty well. But I really get very gratified when it resonates with people and if it helps them. So that's sort of my current journey right now. So both, and I'm always playing tennis, 3 to 4 days a week, and some of the larger seniors tournaments. So it's sort of a combination.
Nice. I like that. And I am familiar with writing a book and losing money. I have done that one time. I get that. But your book, The Way of the Wave, I appreciate. I have the
Sure.
opportunity to have gone through it in before we had the conversation, which is usually the best way to do it. And I want to start because if I were to narrow it down from a tennis perspective, because like I said previously, we're gonna treat you like a tennis player who's written a book, and it sounds like that's essentially how you describe yourself. Maybe also a real estate investor and
Yes.
artist, because
Yeah.
we're all many things.
Yes.
Won't even go through the list of the things Bobby is. So you use ocean waves for navigating life's unpredictability. I will share personal story. There are actually two of them, but I will basically combine them into one. Your
Okay.
first sentence in the book spoke to me specifically because I also had a huge day at the beach at Santa Monica.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Not 35 years ago, but this is just outside of Santa Monica Pier. I had two very specific evenings with a friend that were life changing for me. So maybe there is something about the waves specifically there. But talk to us about the navigating life and give us a bit about that perspective from your book.
Yes, so that's 35 years ago. When I did go to the ocean and watch the waves, it was really at a low point in my life where I had undergone a series of pretty traumatic events that literally brought me to my knees. And watching the waves, it just struck me immediately the the metaphor of the wave, how they mirror our lives in so many ways, especially that we can't control the waves. And I used to body surf when I was younger, and when you're body surfing, you're out in the water, you definitely know you're not in control. The waves are. And so what you try to do is to align with them so that you have smoother rides. You can still have bumpy rides, but you find ways that you can sort of protect yourself by putting your hands out there or over your head. And I had sort of intuitively knew that the waves held the keys for a better life for me. So I went on a healing journey. And what happened is very interesting. At the beginning of COVID, like many people, you were going through old boxes and old files, and I was putting some boxes in the shed, and I came across a book that I 15 chapters of a book that wasn't published that I wrote in 1988 called The Wave. And that was part of my healing journey, but I didn't know enough about it. I mean, I knew it, but I couldn't explain it, and I hadn't had enough life experiences. So when I found these chapters about 5 years ago, uh, it renewed my interest. I said, well, maybe I'll try writing a little bit again. And it ultimately resulted in my current book, The Way of the Wave. And it's a more complete book in that I felt that I could explain it better to others. And what I shared earlier, it was about that time my tennis game started really improving over these last 5 years. And then I realized maybe just a year ago is that I was applying some of these things that I learned about parenting, relationships, and work, and how the way fits into that. I started applying them to my tennis game. For particularly trust was a big one, that I've learned to trust my game. I'm very mental. Uh, that's why I couldn't play golf for very long. It was just too mental for me. So what I really started learning, it really hit me, is to trust that my body can work with my mind, so to speak, to make the best choices on the court, sort of intuitively and naturally, without getting into all that mental stuff. That really began the big improvement of my tennis game.
And sticking with that, that doesn't mean you're not doing the work. That doesn't mean you're not practicing. I heard
No,
a pushback at some point when someone was talking about going with the flow, which to me sounds like a hippie phrase from the 70s. But it also sounds like you're not preparing for the future. It sounds like you're just taking whatever's in front of you. And someone said at one point, the only fish in the river that go with the flow are dead, because the other ones are either swimming the other way, they're looking for food, they're trying to mate, they're hanging out with their families, like they're doing something even though they're still in the river, so to speak.
sure, sure.
So how do you manage the concept of going with the flow
Well,
but also
sure.
with planning and expectations?
I practice regularly. I have my ball machine, and I was out the other day. Uh, I I have to practice. I have, definitely I do that. Working on different strokes, different parts of the game, that type of thing. So I have the preparation, as you say, right? But it's when I'm on the court, it's no longer time to practice, and so I don't, I have to avoid thinking about to do this, do my footwork, draw back. It is not, once I start thinking about too much on the court, my game falters. And so that's where the trust comes in. I trust that what I've learned and what I practice is going to transition naturally to the court over time if I allow it to. And that's where the not controlling part comes in. The part about the wave and the metaphor is being able to let go of control and knowing when to let go of control and just accept what's happening. And like even on the court, if I'm having a bad day, and I do have bad days, is I try to just sort of live in, okay, this is what's happening. And but yet I'm going to maybe think more about it after I play and just focus on just a few things. And for me, that's watching the ball. Just start, watch the ball and forget about all the other things. And then the other thing that I've learned to do is to forgive myself. And I'll even say on the court, if I made a blunder, especially a mental blunder, I'll say, Danny, I forgive you. Because if I don't forgive myself, my mind's going to be back on that last point, right? And I don't want it to be there because that's going to make me make another bad call or shot or something. So I want to I want to forget that. And the best way for me is sort of forgive myself. I practice hard. I'm pretty good, but I'm going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. If I dwell on those mistakes, it's going to undermine my game. Same at work. I've been pretty successful at work, but I will make mistakes and I need to forgive myself. I can learn by them. And I say, okay, I can learn. This is what I did wrong. We try not to do it again. But I'm not going to be hard on myself. And that's where judging, one of the things that harms us in going the flow is when we're too judgmental of others and ourselves, you know. And the same thing on the court is I don't want to be judgmental of me or nor my partner for sure.
Yeah, and what you call wave barriers of judgment and
Yes,
things like that, right? So
right.
Bobby, as a tennis coach and business owner, is Danny making any sense?
Oh, Danny and I could have a beer together.
Okay.
You know me. You've heard me on the court. One of my favorites is always trust yourself. Trust your swing. Trust what you're doing. You got to take the head out of it. Disassociate the head with the body. I grew up on Long Island. I might have been at Santa Monica Pier that day 35 years ago because at that point I was living in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But if you've ever body surfed, the buzz of body surfing is getting the wave right. and
Yes.
you're not doing it. The wave is doing it. You're just along for the ride.
Yes.
And it's the same thing on the court. And I tell the people all the time, if you listen to the ball tells you where it wants to be hit. And they look at me kind of cross-eyed, but it goes back to don't fight, don't fight and try to do something that the ball is really not going to allow you to do. So, like I
Right.
said, not too much he hasn't said. I'm like, yep, I agree with this. I don't really need to say anything today. So I'm good.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
And so that's why I like asking Bobby at one point, because it's just kind of that different perspective that says, okay, so he's giving tennis advice, and we can all give tennis advice, whether we're a player or a coach, because it's personal, it's from us, and here's what I do. And so I want to flip it on you, Danny, and say, okay, well, now I want to put you as my tennis coach. And I think you probably already just answered the question, but I got to kind of officially ask it so we can crop it out later. Basically to say, if you're coaching a tennis player, is this part of the philosophy you would bring in as a coach?
Yes, I definitely would. The trust and acceptance. And I would bring in another thing is to be humble, uh, practice humility. And by that, I mean, it used to be, and I still, I play mainly in the public parks, and we'll get all kinds of players. I call it democratic tennis because there's from third world countries, everybody, oftentimes you'll play with people who are actually very competitive and do well, but they're very unorthodox in their style, and it's not fun. And so I used to be, oh, I don't want to play with them, and it's going to mess up my game, and they're just going to keep lobbing and all this stuff. And I realized that I'm missing opportunities to learn because I'm being a little smug. It's good to be confident. I agree. But I need to be more humble, and I'm much more that way. And so in the senior tournaments, you get all kinds of players too. So why not practice with those kinds on the court? So I would say that the main thing is we've talked about before is just trust yourself. Trust your strokes, especially if you've been practicing. If you haven't been practicing and working on them, that's one thing. That's another thing. But you've done the work, you put all the hard work. So now just go with the trust. And the one that my wife got me to do is Danny, have fun. Have fun. I tend to be too serious. So my mantras on the court right now, because I don't want to overthink, is one is have fun. Go with the wave. I'll just say go with the wave and trust. Those three things. So I don't think about how I draw back, or I don't think about tennis specific things. And these I call mantras. It relaxes me, right? It helps me by relaxing me and my body.
I like trust in that case, because the follow up to that is the forgiveness that you mentioned. I need
Yes.
to forgive myself. We watch all kinds of tennis players out there, and I'm one of them, that if I miss, I don't understand. I'm good. Why would I miss? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And then you dwell on it, and you're not actually
Yeah.
just forgiving and moving on, because
Right.
that follows up the trust part. I have to trust that it's going to work. If it doesn't work, I also then have to be humble enough to forgive myself. And all of that plays in from philosophy into tennis.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask about you specifically as a tennis player quickly. Do you have a go-to shot or strategy? Are you a serve plus one? Are you I'm going to stay here out long, I'm going to outlast my other 80-year-old opponent? What's the Danny way to win, and does it reflect this same philosophy?
Thank you. I think two things. To focus on the stronger part of my games, I guess, which would be at my age, especially my serve and my backhand, and volleying, and trust my forehand. I would say my weakest area is my forehand, which is the opposite of most players. But I have to, when I have two kinds of forehands. I can do this sort of like little chop, and then I can do more, try to do the top spin. And where I get in there, sometimes if I'm thinking too much, I'll think, well, which one should I do? And now trusting again that I will intuitively know which is the one to do at that particular point. So that's sort of my game, I guess. And I guess the other thing I would say also, maybe for those seniors like me, is to accept our limitations. That's why I'm not playing singles anymore because I'm a runner. I'm very agile, and so I was getting too many leg injuries, uh, and so I've learned to accept that limitation by not playing. I don't play every day like a lot of people I know. So my body's holding up, and I'm looking for the long term. But I do need to accept my limitations.
Bobby, this reminds me of a conversation we had with Dave Matthews a while back about, what to change after 40, and then we did a follow-up of what to change after 50. What do you have at your club that you see maybe the older players or even the high schoolers that you spend a lot of time with that this philosophy can help?
Oh, I think it could help all of them. I think with the kids, they all try to do too much. They all default to DEFCON 5 or I'm sorry, DEFCON 1 in a moment. And then the older adults, they're trying to relive. I love my 55 plus. They're still serving volley and they look down and say, "Why am I stuck in no person's land?" It's like, well, because you're old, and that's okay. But again, realize where you are, and the service line is a thing of the past. So don't worry about that. And and plus, I think the best part about it speaks to life. It's another part of the journey. Embrace it. You can't change it.
Yeah.
There's only one way to change it, and that's to end it. And so enjoy it. Sit there and laugh about it. The hard part is I'm a much better ball striker now than I was at 19 years old. I'm not as fast. I'm not as strong. I can't. So, you sit there and say, but there wouldn't be one without the other. So that's the fun part. At 19, at 17, I was an overachiever because I was so competitive. Now I'm pretty good, but I don't need to compete anymore either. I just enjoy hitting the ball. That's what people don't you miss playing? No, I love to hit the ball. I get such a pleasure out of hitting the ball, feeling it right on my strings, that a win or a loss is not going to validate or diminish it.
Right.
So, I know it's all part of the process, and that's it, to me. More than anything, maturation and embracing what life. Again, what is it bringing you? I don't say accept it. You fight it. You prepare for it. You try to leave your imprint on it. But it goes back to life's going to win. Time's going to win. So enjoy the time you have.
Yes, yes. It's sort of interesting when you ask other senior players, when we're socializing, almost everyone, including myself, feels they can improve. They can find a way to improve. And that's what makes it, to me, very exciting because like you may be limited, like you say, you're not going to be rushing the net all the time, but you can find ways maybe to develop a better drop shot or a better lob or just your strategy, overall strategy. That's what makes it exciting too, is yeah, we're getting older and some of our skills are diminishing a little bit, but others I think we can work on. And that's a joy, and have more fun at that.
Yeah. One door closes, another one opens. Hey, what
Yeah,
is it going to bring
exactly.
next?
Yeah.
And absolutely. I mean, these are the things. The amazing part to me is to take this to another step and go to it like a Roger Federer or a Jimmy Connors who, had a period of such dominance and then essentially went away for a few years. What kept them going? What was the motivation? How did they find, after you have what you would consider a devastating defeat, to go find and say, you know what, I'm not that far away. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to work on this. Those are the people that I most admire because they didn't stop fighting. Obviously, they took what they had and said, what can I do to improve? And to me, that's what makes life interesting.
Yeah.
It'd get boring if you didn't want to keep improving. It's something, and just being a good person is a good place to start.
I think Agassi sort of did that too. I remember
Yeah.
when he made his comeback. I saw him in a little challenger tournament out in Burbank when he was sort of coming back, and then he just went from there. So that's sort of cool too.
That's where I lived. I lived in Burbank.
Oh, okay.
Go over the hill and was in Hollywood in 2 seconds. But yeah, I worked in a law firm downtown LA. So
Oh,
we
wow.
were crossing paths. I
Did
used to
you say,
love to ride my.
did you say a law firm?
Yeah, I worked for a law firm in Los Angeles.
Okay. As a lawyer?
No, I didn't
Oh,
make it. Convinced me I never wanted to be a lawyer. I was right out of school,
well,
so I was a paralegal.
I was a
And
lawyer. I was a lawyer for 10 years. That's why
there you go.
then I got out of that.
Yeah, we were product liability. It was a big firm because we represented Marlon Brando's son in the civil side of his trial. And you remember Judge Keene from divorce court? He was a member of the firm, so
Okay.
it was a fun place to be.
Right. Right.
But that was my Los Angeles experience. But yes, Burbank. I loved the hills. That was a great place to go. I would just go up, get up in the hills and ride in the mountains. It was great.
Yeah.
My Los Angeles experiences were very different, Bobby. So one day I'll have that conversation. Danny, I got three more things for you quickly.
Sure.
I want you to, I don't want to say convince me to read your book, but from a perspective, I read this quote on the back. It says, deeply insightful and practical. The Way of the Wave offers hope, not only for individuals, but for our troubled nation. Can you give me kind of a soundbite even that says, hey, what do you want to account? Why should everybody read this book?
Thank you. I don't want to say that why they should, but I will say this. The book is sort of quite a bit, unlike my other books, sort of my own personal journey a little bit. And in which, I offer things these things have worked for me. For example, I'm typically very judgmental. I've had that problem. So I've examined that. I try to, what is my reason for it? Why am I doing that? Same with control and with expectations and anger and fear. So I've worked through those quite a bit. And that's why I have prompts at the end of each chapter so that the reader can examine these areas in their own lives. So I guess I'll say this. It was my publicist who wrote those words that you just read. So he's more that way than I am, but I don't look at it as a how-to book. It's sort of like, here's what helped me. I hope it can help you. Take what you like, leave the rest, so to speak. And hopefully, like me, your life will be more balanced. You'll have more peace and more calm. And you be able to deal with the lows, particularly without really spiraling. You have a little bit better perspective.
I like that a lot. And going through it, the book for me, it didn't feel like you were telling me what to do. It felt like
Right.
you were sharing your experiences in hopes that it would help me and I could
Yes.
learn from it.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I discuss these things. We read books together.
Right.
And we get to talk about it. It takes us forever to get through a book because we go 2 or 3 sentences and she's like, hang on, what did he just say there? What's going on? So we get a chance to really go through it and enjoy it in a way that we're really learning from it. And sometimes we're gonna look up and go, nope, that doesn't make any sense. We're gonna forget that. Don't worry about that one. Not yours specifically. Clearly that was
Right.
But one more thing back on topic of racket sports, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You said you're in your 80s. You play
Yes.
a lot of tennis.
Yes.
To drop a bomb on you. What do you think about pickleball?
I'm fine with it. I play a little of it, but I'm not big into pickleball yet. I may get there because my wife, who's a master swimmer, but is not comfortable on land, is something that maybe we can pick up together. So I think it's fine. I'm just not playing it yet, quite honestly.
Okay. Now
I say.
in the racket sports world, there is always that pickleball versus tennis or tennis versus padel and who's using whose courts and all that. And a lot of people that say, pickleball's just for old people or, it's only for the high schoolers. So we have a lot of back and forth about its redeeming qualities. And we love it, of course, because it's part of who we are in the racket sports.
Right.
But I would expect at some point that you dived into it a little bit because
Yes.
it's a thing that many tennis players at least dip their toe in.
Yes. Right.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Bobby, I've gone through everything I want to do. You got anything else for Danny before we hit him with King of Tennis?
I want to hear the King of Tennis.
Okay, we'll jump right into that. Danny, we have our favorite question to get us out of here, which is if you were king of tennis, whether from a coaching perspective, professional, social, any perspective at all, in the world, in just where you live, anywhere, if you were king of tennis, is there anything you would do or change?
What I would do, if I was really truly the king, so to speak, I would require the tournament, especially the larger ones, take, let's say, 5% of the purse and use it in the local communities for children to develop kids, especially like after school programs, would pay for the instructors, would provide the courts, provide the equipment so that more younger people can play tennis. Because I really think not only for health, but for safety, especially maybe at risk children, and ideally maybe can develop some future champions, U.S. champions at the Grand Slams. Who knows? But the main thing is to bring tennis to younger people who can't afford it or it's not available. And if you just took 5% of these multi-million-dollar purses, I think you could do a lot. So that's would be my decree, so to speak.
I like that a lot. Bobby, you think it can work?
Well, we've talked about it. It's a good way to go about it. Get it in the people who are making the moves. Reward the instructors. Give them the incentive to go get the kids. Just get more. Just sheer numbers game. We get 1,000 more kids playing. We're liable to get 2 or 3 that are actually pretty good.
Yes.
I like that. Bobby and I usually have differing theories where I'm like, well, volume does it. And Bobby says, no, we need a John McEnroe. We need the guy that everybody wants to be. And I think it's probably either a little bit of both or somewhere in the middle. See how we get the next champion. But we also need more authors. And Danny, I really appreciate you getting me a copy of the book, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and what you've been through. And I will let everyone know I think you should try out this book, because it is worth it. Like I said, I didn't feel like you were telling me what to do, and I didn't feel like stringing me along. You really did share some actionable thoughts.
Thank you.
Say, here's what I went through. My suggestion is consider this as you move forward. So I really appreciate it. Bobby, thank you. I appreciate
it. Thank you. Danny, thank you.
Let me add one thing. I personally narrated this book. That was quite a journey because it was so personal, and so it can be acquired at anywhere Audible or anywhere you can get Audible books from. And I have a print and an ebook version on Amazon and most of the online sites as well.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my very last question, which is,
okay,
where can we get it? And I'll put everything in the show notes for the audio version, the video versions. So we will have links to everything that they can find it. But Amazon, there is, I have iTunes. A wonderful, I guess, a paperback. Do you have a hard copy or is it just paperback?
No, just a paperback, ebook, and audiobook. And then my website is Daniel A. Miller, and I've written about 150 articles on the control and acceptance dynamics, about letting go of control and practicing acceptance, and more recently about the wave, some little short tidbits that readers might like.
We will make sure all those are in the show notes and everybody knows how to reach you, and I appreciate it so much. And we will be in touch. So
I enjoyed our conversation with the two of you. You guys play off each other really well. I like that. How do you play on the courts? Do you guys play together a lot on the court?
Heck no.
No, Bobby quit playing years ago, and I quit playing after COVID. So actually, neither of us play much tennis at all, much less together.
So you mainly pickleball? Is that what you're saying?
No, Bobby's full-time on the court running a club, so there's
I see. Okay.
A lot of free time just to play for fun. And me personally, I've got a 2.5-year-old, and I'm focused on that. So I get a lot of court time, but it's with my own kid, and we're not exactly duking it out just yet.
You'll have him on the court soon. So
he's there. The question is, how long is it before he's beating me?